I would say largely I am new to 3D. I'm just a 3D generalist by hobby. Obviously with the new short film, it kind of really took off and it's gotten a lot more attention than I ever could have thought it would. It crossed 900,000 yesterday.
Wowza.
Tell me about it.
It's crazy because I've got no background information on you.
I know, I'm kind of hidden online. Yeah. I knew I wanted to make something in a universe that has already been set up for me. And honestly, I kind of went with Helldivers because the community is crazy. They're so involved.
What's it take to kind of design and execute a really good sequence like that?
I ran into so many issues. I feel like I learned most of what I did by having a question. And Blender has an answer for every question you could possibly have. My idol in all of this was Ian Hubert. I kind of took after him, and his process is let your immediate motivation drive everything.
Mason, welcome to the VFX Process.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
We are going to be talking about a short film that you made in Blender, fully CG, and it's based on the Helldivers franchise. I personally haven't actually played the game. I imagine that you're a fan.
Yeah, I would say I am. I don't get the chance to play too much games anymore, but I definitely had a phase on that with some buddies of mine. But I kind of just really like the universe, so that's kind of why I gravitated towards that for a film.
One of our artists, I remember him posting a trailer for Helldivers 2, and instantly I saw it and I was like, that is Starship Troopers, is it not? I thought, oh, it's a Starship Troopers game.
No, it's basically Starship Troopers in a game.
One of my favourite films of all time. I'm new to Helldivers, but
there's a lot of crossover.
I think they've took from it like the humour, the style. There's a lot about it. The bugs, for example, very, very much inspired by.
You kill anything that has more than 2 legs, you get me? We get you, sir!
Mason, can you just start off by giving us a brief introduction of who you are and tell us what you do?
Yeah, so hi, hello there. I am Mason, also known as Butterbug on YouTube. I'm just a 3D generalist by hobby and a newly registered nurse by trade. I mostly have done like contest work in the past or just like personal projects of mine, just as a creative outlet for myself. And while I say I'm a hobbyist, obviously with the new short film, it kind of really took off and it's gotten a lot more attention than I ever could have thought it would.
Yeah, I mean, has it not got almost the same amount of views as the official Helldivers 2 trailer on the IGN account on YouTube?
Ooh, I have no idea.
I think that's only got 1.2 million.
Oh, okay. Well, then it's getting close-ish. It crossed 900,000 yesterday.
Oh, really? So it's still going?
It's still going strong. It's like still at 20,000 every 2 days or so, so it's still climbing.
Wowza.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Tell me about it.
It's crazy because I've got no background information on you, Mason. Tell me.
I know. I'm kind of hidden online. Yeah. I was like, I don't really have
It's cool, though.
Online presence. I don't really post a lot of my things. There's some on my Reddit. Honestly, this is definitely the biggest project I've taken on.
Well, so in terms of like 3D knowledge and like you say it's a hobby, like how did you get into, 3D and...
So it was like sophomore year of high school, I discovered Blender. Like I was always really interested by CGI. Like I loved Avatar and like movies like that as a kid where they like use CGI to do this crazy world building. So I found Blender and the first thing I made was like some chess pieces because my friend had a 3D printer and I was like, oh, I want to print something on that. So I used it for that. But then I was like, wait, this is kind of a cool software. Like you really can do anything as long as you kind of have like the knowledge and the skills to do it. Messed around with it for a few years. I was working on like a laptop with a Pentium processor. Like it would take 2 days to render a single very simple cycles render. It was crazy. But yeah, then college, I built my own computer and that made it. I mean, you can make things on like really low end stuff, but there's something to be said about like having a nicer computer allows you like learn faster and like have a quicker iterative process.
Absolutely. What kind of spec did you go for?
Yeah, I got a 3070 and a Ryzen 5 5600X.
Well, it's a lot faster than the laptop's Pentium.
A good calculator would probably be quicker.
Yeah. Let's just get straight to hell. Can you just tell us how that started and how that came about?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted to make something on kind of the shorter end, because I kept like biting off more than I could chew. And doing like the art contest where it's like these 5-second clips, I was like, this is kind of nice because it's very self-contained and a very manageable goal. So I wanted to do something kind of in a universe that has already been set up for me. So obviously I'm really into like sci-fi stuff, and I made the Halo animation. So it was kind of between a Halo short film or Helldivers. And honestly, I kind of went with Helldivers because the community is crazy. Like they are so involved. And there wasn't too much online already, short films wise. There was one which heavily inspired mine by a guy named KC Spill It All. It's like a super, super high quality. But after seeing that and seeing that like online, a lot of the models from the game had been ripped and are like already available to like jumpstart everything, it was like a no-brainer. I was like, I should totally jump in and make this.
Amazing. Was there any kind of tactful kind of approach to thinking, you know, it's got such a great following, this could really help kind of put me on the map?
Like, obviously I wouldn't have gone for it if I didn't like already love the universe in the game, but like I did know going into like the community, like I feel like there was a demand for something like it. So it definitely pushed me to choose Helldivers versus some of the other ideas. And then of course having the models already, like the ships and stuff, like some of the things that would take so many hours to do. I mean, I was able to start with all the models and literally just start moving pieces, and within a few minutes I had like a resemblance of a scene. Like, it was so helpful.
Yeah, software, I know it was Blender, there was some Embergen in there. Can you just talk about your kind of toolkit that you used to kind of make this short?
Yeah, so obviously it was all like mostly in Blender. Like the scenes were all in Blender. And actually most of the explosions I ended up going with Blender for. While Embergen is super nice, I haven't used it a ton in the past. If I did use Embergen, they have a bunch of like default presets that are super good. So I would just like get those presets and kind of tweak them. So there's only like, I think 3 or 4 shots in the entire thing where they have Embergen explosions. Some of the like big fancy things are actually done in Blender, which I was surprised how like far the simulations have come, because they used to be so like unusable. And then DaVinci Resolve carried a lot of it. So good. Some of the shots, they come out and they look kind of rough, flat, and just not really what I was imagining. And I take it into DaVinci, do a bunch of post-processing, maybe add like one of their smoke simulations into it. And I'm like, oh my god, that's exactly what I was going for. Like it makes it look so much better.
These are tools that they're free, essentially. You can get free versions of these. You can get a free DaVinci Resolve. You can get the starter pack for Embergen with all the free presets, and of course Blender. Really exciting for kind of, you know, indie filmmakers to have this to make short films and tell stories, right?
Yeah, seriously, because I mean, on the DaVinci Resolve side, I have the studio version, but I don't think I really needed it. Like, there was not too many things I used that I couldn't have just done with the free version. And with the Embergen, there was actually some explosions I used that were, they have like a free VDB pack online. Some of the explosions were just that, and I like stretched them a little bit so that they work better for my use case. So yeah, I probably could have done it completely free.
Brilliant, man. Well, that's definitely efficient filmmaking for sure. Can you just talk about your process, what it looks like from like idea to the final product?
I wish I could say I was a bit more like methodical in my approach, but my idol in all of this and like what got me started was Ian Hubert. So I kind of took after him, and his process is kind of just throw it together. Like, let your immediate motivation drive everything. Like, if on my Reddit, I posted the middle scene of Straight to Hell, like the beginning of the drop, and I hadn't done any of the other stuff. I had no idea what I was going to do for the story. I was just like, as I go. And even like the last quarter of the film where the pod's on the ground, that was made 3 days prior to release.
Oh, really? Bloody hell.
I just wanted to get the film done, so I set a trailer on YouTube, and I was like, I put a release date, and I'm like, I'm just going to get it done, because I feel like I'm just need to get off my plate.
Yeah, that's really great to know. And what an amazing descent for the Helldiver. I mean, it's an epic one.
The whole thing, I was just like, what could look cool next? Like, what could I blow up next?
You said you started with that scene. What's it take to kind of design and execute like a really good, decent sequence like that?
From the point the pod gets shot down, that next like 20-ish seconds where it's just flying down and nothing crazy has happened yet, that's like a 1-to-1 recreation of the video game. And then when it gets swiped by the other ship, that's kind of when it goes into my whole animation and storytelling. I want it to kind of throw your expectations, but going into it, like, I knew I wanted it to be a one-shot and I wanted like all the camera movements to be motivated. So like during that whole sequence, the camera never just like unnaturally turns just for the sake of looking at something. Like the attention's always being pushed somewhere or it's being drawn to something.
What's it like in the scene? Is there any cheats? Is it all in one file? What's it like to kind of set up something like that and keep adding to it? Was there a limit, and was there any kind of technical issues along the way with just getting it done?
Yeah, so that's funny you say that because I ran into so many issues with that one scene. Like, it was a nightmare. My process is very in the moment, and sometimes it backfires pretty hard. Like, I didn't think about, like, separating everything into a different view layer, which would have helped so much in compositing. And sometimes I would, like, tweak something, and that thing was parented to one thing, which was parented to another thing, and, like, the whole scene would break, and I have to, like, go back to a previous save. So it was all in one file, but I actually... when the pod flies through the hole in the ship, it actually switches to a whole different scene. It's all rendered in Eevee, and like it renders kind of everything, I believe, regardless, or it loads everything regardless if it's in the view. So having all these things just ready to be like shown, it kills it. Like it freaks out.
Eevee's pretty awesome in it, Mason.
Oh my God.
For what you can get in the viewport, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and like with some of the newer updates, they released like light linking, which is like a huge thing that I loved in Cycles before, but now we can do it so well in here. So like a lot of the lighting is cheated. Like the sun's over here, some of the things are lit correctly by that sun, but then like the pod has a whole different set of lighting on it.
Everyone wants to cheat a rim light because it just makes the character or the object pop and it looks cool. So, unless you're really looking at where's that sun coming from.
You almost never consciously think about it. Like, I feel like that's something that eyes can't really pick up on. Like, this explosion this is actually a technique that I haven't seen anyone else use. I think it's kind of fun. So, like, while Blender is good with explosions, it struggles really bad to do them on, like, a really fine detail scale, especially, like, how explosions kind of look like they have that Voronoi texture-ish on them. So, since I couldn't get that with Blender's, like, simulation toolset, I literally got a Voronoi texture and just mapped it over the emissive.
That works.
Yeah, just to get kind of those bright spots and make it look way more detailed than it actually is. And then a lot of the explosions are just 2D planes because no point in having them be anything more than that.
No, absolutely. I'm not saying you're new to 3D at all because you've been doing it for years at this point. But how much experience did you have in terms of, short film planning, asset management? What was that like? Was it really much learning on the job, essentially?
I would say largely I am new to 3D. Honestly, prior to 2 years ago, all my stuff is pretty rough looking. Like, it's very, very beginner. And then, like, I took a sharp turn to get better. But I feel like I learned most of what I did by having a question. Like, I wanted to make something, and I'm like, I'm running into this problem. And I look it up, and Blender has an answer for every question you could possibly have. So just having those questions and looking them up, that's how I did, like, all of my learning. And just repetition, figuring out what Blender does like and what it can't handle. So just time. Lots of time.
As a fan film, because I guess it is, a fan film or a fan video game cinematic, how do you balance kind of respecting the original IP, but also kind of bringing your own storytelling flair to that?
Largely, the game itself doesn't have a huge story. It's kind of just these big, badass set pieces to just have fun and kind of a silly game. But that was one thing that was kind of difficult at first, because it's a really silly and stupid game. Like, it's like Starship Troopers. Like, there's a huge humor component to it, but then this film, I wanted to make it, like, much more dramatic. Because, like, the world that they set up in this game is actually pretty dark. These people are barely trained. They're thrown into a cryopod. They wake up just to get shot down and probably die within, like, 30 seconds. So I kind of want to tell that aspect that I feel like people haven't really talked about yet. Like, I feel like there's kind of an untapped, like, dramatic story that could be told.
When you get these assets from the community, what kind of quality are they? Are they straight from the game? Do they need tweaking or?
No, they are ripped straight from the game, and depending on like how close to the camera they are, I'll tweak a lot of the things. So like a lot of the textures and shaders on everything are adjusted, or a lot of the things like aren't rigged properly, so I'll have to do that myself.
Brilliant. And do they come compatible with Blender, or are they just FBXs?
There's a bunch of communities on Discord where they're called like archive communities. So for a lot of video games, there's a bunch of people who like want to make films from that game, so they'll kind of help each other out by ripping it, because as far as I understand, it's a very, very tedious process. Like, it doesn't come out as an FBX or any like usable format, and you have to make your own shaders.
Gotcha. So they don't come down clean?
No, not at all.
Do you do much kind of looking for feedback and improving, going back and forth, or just build it and then put it out there?
I kind of just ask like the people in my vicinity, and I'm sure they love it. But like, I've asked my sister to look at a handful of things. I made my girlfriend like.
What do you ask them? Like, and are they fans of like, you know, movies and games, or is it just like,
no,
hey, will you just look at this and what looks cool or bad about it?
No, they don't know any. Like, they don't really know anything about like CGI or video. My sister does play some games, but like, it's almost kind of nice because they have kind of a clean slate to work with. Like, and my girlfriend will tell me, she'll be like, that doesn't look right, or I feel like it'd be cooler if the camera was turned. And I'm like, yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
Yeah,
and I just tweak that one thing. I'm like, well, there it is. Like,
it's great, isn't it, to have that fresh perspective on a project?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, you'll spend so much time staring at the same thing that you have no idea what to do with it anymore.
Zoom out, pass it to somebody else, and just see what they pick up on.
Yeah, and like, because there was like a bunch of small things I tried to integrate into the story too, like him having a family and like it appearing on the medallion and appearing on the picture frame at the end. So I like would kind of test it on her, be like, what do you think of this? And she's like, oh, I like the like alluding to the family again. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, he's gone.
No! God, please, no! No!
Oh, there we go.
Oh, we're switching to the old phone.
Okay, wicked.
Great practical joke, Jim.
When you were creating this short and you were, you know, posting things on like maybe Reddit and things like that, did it build along with you?
No, it just took off all of a sudden. Like, even the trailer didn't do crazy well. I think it got like 20,000, maybe 30. But just with this final version, prior to that, I had zero presence anywhere for the most part.
Were there any moments of, you know, lacking motivation or willingness to kind of carry on and get this finished at all on this project, Mason?
Yeah, for sure. Going through all of it has been like, these past few months have been like pretty big changes in my life. So there's been some times where I'm like, this is dumb. Like, there's so much better, like more useful things I could be focusing on. But ultimately, like, I realize there is my version of like stress relief. Like, I have to have some sort of creative outlet. Otherwise, I don't know. Like, it's really helpful to do on the side of everything else. So even though like motivation was certainly lacking at times, once I like just got back in the Blender, forced myself in and like started messing around, I was like, oh, then I could do this and I could do this, and I kind of like snowballed and I got motivated again.
Talking about time management and finding those moments to get this project across the line, you say that you work as a nurse. How do you manage kind of, you know, day jobs and personal projects, especially at times when you think, oh, this is dumb, no one's going to care about this?
I think I am lucky, and like working in healthcare, it's only 3 days a week, 12-hour shifts. So it makes it so like I at least have those other 2 days that would be part of a work week that I can kind of make into my like art days.
Were there any kind of times, you know, maybe there's a lot going on and you just think, I'm just going to take a break from this project and then do, you know, something completely non-CG or creative related to kind of detach from this short?
Yeah, no, there was plenty of times where I started putting life on the back burner, which I like definitely should never be a thing I should do, especially with this being a side thing and not my main career. So I would like take breaks, or like I'd be like, okay, for this week I'm not allowed to touch it, or maybe like I need to push myself to find some other hobby just for a little bit. Can I get a break so that I'm not getting too into it? Because that's also a recipe for getting burnt out on it.
Out of interest, how long did you spend making this?
It took 4 months, and I mean, every week I'd work on it a different amount of hours, but in total I'd probably say around 15-ish hours per week.
But it does show that you are passionate, you know, especially when you think, oh, I do want to work on it. I would just work 24 hours a day just to get it done. But you do have to, prioritize health, because it's very important, of course. Will there be any other projects, or are there any other projects that you're working on or wanting to start?
Yeah, I got a few in the works right now. I'm making a recreation of a Halo 3 cutscene, just like trying to do it in like the Blur Studio style. So since their style I feel like is somewhat close to mine, I feel like by trying to emulate theirs, it can like elevate my own stuff. And then another Helldivers short film is like in the creative beginnings.
Is it the response from the fans, or is it just something that you had planned from the start? I want to make more of these because it's fun and I love it.
I'm not going to pretend like having like this response to it doesn't like help propel it forward, because it absolutely does. Like this is way bigger than I ever thought.
That's a massive dopamine hit.
Oh my God, yeah.
Absolutely,
especially
man.
coming from like the place where it's like, oh, I got like 50 likes on my Reddit post, like that's awesome, to now it's almost like crossing 1 million views on YouTube. That's like, I still haven't fully like processed that. So that definitely helps. But I was planning to do another one from the get-go, even if it got little to no views. Like this really is just like, I need this as a creative outlet. Like if I don't have it, I'm gonna do something else creative. But it's just something I need. So regardless of the response, I would have still probably made it.
What kind of advice would you give to someone starting on a blank timeline? You know, they want to make their own short film.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I've gotten so many emails and people messaging me like asking the same question. I wish I had like some sage advice, but like I was seriously in those shoes not that long ago, and I think the only advice I really have is to enjoy the process, because it is going to take so long before you can get to a point where things start to look serviceable. So you just have to learn, like, I know it's not going to look good. I know it's not going to be great, but I'm going to just enjoy it regardless. Enjoy the process of filmmaking. And even if no one sees your story, know that, like, your story has been told, kind of thing.
In your own mind, if you get it finished, you can tell yourself, I've finished it. Because I guess a lot of the time people can start these things, you know, get distracted or put things down, start another project. We all do it because we want to just keep, you know, doing stuff. But there's something satisfying about sticking with something or coming back to something, getting it done.
It can be so easy to start something, and then the second it doesn't look exactly how you want it to, you're just like, screw it, drop it. If you can't get something to look the way you want it to, that means that there's like a problem yet to be solved and a learning experience. Like you're going to run into it again, I'm sure. So like trudging forward, like figuring out how to solve the problem, I feel like can really like elevate your skill set. I think if you have enough motivation to make something, you can make it. And there's something to be said about learning how to do something the quickest and like dirtiest way. Like the building getting destroyed, I was going to have it be this rigid body simulation, like have stuff like being destroyed accurately and stuff, and it just kept not working, and it was such a pain in the butt. And eventually I'm like, you know what, I could just probably get a particle system, like turn the building into an entirety into a particle system, and when the ship hits it, it just like kind of just falls. Like it doesn't even have to be an actual rigid body sim, and it worked. Like knowing how to do things quick and dirty can save you from like spending time and money on big suites and stuff.
Absolutely. It's kind of, you know, you mentioned Ian Hubert earlier. Huge fan of Ian's work and his approach to, you know, chucking things together, projecting textures. If you can't see it, don't worry about it. If it's in the background, if it's tiny on screen, if it's a crowd of people, they don't even have to look good. They can just be, you know, moving. All that kit bashing approach is, you know, I guess it's revolutionary for indie filmmakers.
Yeah, he was definitely one of the people who like made me realize that too and propelled me forward. Because before I would be like, oh, all these models have to be perfect. Like it just has to be like you can look at it from any angle and it just works so that it's flexible. And I'm like, wait, after seeing his stuff, I'm like, that's just not necessary. Like if they can't see it in this shot, you don't gotta make it. Like, and if it doesn't look right, maybe just turn it a little bit, adjust the shader, and it's fine.
You know, only when you find out about people's processes that you realise that, oh, we're all kind of like doing the same thing, you know. Just in filmmaking in general, you hear about it, you know, for the history of cinema. Like there was issues, so we just, didn't show the shark in Jaws because it was in water and it was breaking all the time. So let's just change and adapt and make it scary without showing the shark, Did you ever consider reaching out to anyone else to kind of help on this short? Or did you, thrive on that solo process?
Yeah, I never really reached out to anyone. Like, I feel like I've always been kind of like a loner in this space. Like, it really was and mostly is still just a hobby on the side. I never really took it seriously enough to reach out.
Is it something that you would consider in the next one, potentially asking or having help or somebody else come on board, or are you still happy in that space of doing it on your own?
I mean,
I'm surprised you're not getting messages saying, Mason, can I work on this next one with you? Because it's got a great response,
Yeah, I've gotten messages from like voice actors and video editors and stuff wanting to do that, which I'm not opposed to that, but I do like there's something nice about having total creative control. And even though like back in high school, I did love doing like art and stuff, I never pursued it as a career path because I was always scared of like working at a studio and basically I'm just pushing someone else's story. Like, it's not actually me controlling the creative decisions. I'm just like rotoscoping or doing like very mundane things, and that's just not where my heart is in this kind of stuff.
Do you have any advice for artists that feel like their work's not good enough or they're not going to post it? I guess imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I mean, I still have wicked imposter syndrome. Like, even looking at my own film, I can only pick out all the flaws. So I'm like, it's not even like that good. But obviously people really liked it. So I have to just kind of, accept that, I guess you could say. I think it's good to post everything like, don't make things and post them hoping that it will like be your big break or that you're going to have hundreds or, thousands of people see it. I think it like, you really do have to learn to just love the process. I feel like I tried so long to make the next big thing, like making my own like stories and these biting off way more than I can chew. And it felt like the second that I stopped doing that is when I actually started to make much better art.
You can put work out there. People can say, oh, but that smoke simulation could be better, or that this isn't, but you know what? The fact that you've been able to tell your story, have fun doing it, it's a creative kind of, outlet, you enjoy it, that's just priceless.
No, exactly.
It's clear that people are liking, watching it, which is a bonus, of course. Did you have any feelings of kind of, it's not good enough, I'm not going to finish it, I'm not going to post it?
I was constantly thinking it wasn't good enough. Even now, like, looking back on it, if I had another week, like, there were so many things I would change. But, like, if I allowed myself to just keep going, I would have never stopped. And it would never, ever be good enough for me to feel like I could post it. So I really did. Like, it was so important to just set the date. And, like, a lot of the project files in Blender that I was working on were starting to get pretty cluttered and weren't planed out super well. So it was getting increasingly difficult to adjust each shot. So yeah, definitely learned a lot of lessons for the next one. But yeah, there was definitely a ton of times where I felt like giving up, tons of times where I felt like it wasn't quite good enough, but you kind of have to just push along and not focus on that. Just think like, how can I make it better? And is it good enough to move on? Yeah, because otherwise you'll just get stuck working on the same shot forever, right?
100%, man. Well, yeah, we're glad you finished it, and I imagine you are as well. Where can we follow you? Where can people find your work? Any socials? How can we support you? Yeah,
so I mainly am just on YouTube, Butterbug, and I have the Patreon that's linked on YouTube. Other than that, that's kind of my one thing right now.
Awesome, man. Well, we encourage everybody to, head over there, follow Mason's work, and we are very much looking forward to the next installment of your short film based on Helldivers. It's been a real pleasure. I know we had a few technical issues, but we got there in the end, and we just want to say thanks for your time and hanging out with us, and sharing your story. It really does mean a lot, so thanks, man.
Yep, no problem. Thank you guys for having me.
Hopefully, you're going to get that 1 million, I'm sure you will, 1 million view count.
Yeah, oh my gosh, if I get past that, I'm going to throw a party.
Well, speak to you soon, Mason. Thank you so much, and take it easy, man.
Yep, y'all too. Have a good one.